So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see everybody having so much fun. I think the evening's intended for that, and we're going to have a great time together tonight. A lot of emotion in the room, a lot of passion in the room, a lot of expectation in the room as well. So let me, on behalf of the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame, formally welcome you. And tonight we're having our induction ceremony and fundraising dinner. And as a group, I think we're in for a splendid evening. Tonight we celebrate our superlative class of 2018, harvested from 6 provinces and whose exceptional exploits have been recognized not only at home, but I think as you'll come to appreciate, more so on the international stage. So would you please rise and remain standing, and we'll have a quick toast to our inductees of 2018. So ladies and gentlemen, would you please charge your glasses to Canada's best. Since the last time we were together, the Hall has lost 2 of its cornerstone members. This evening we remember H. Charles Armstrong and Some Beach, Somewhere. Charles Armstrong was belatedly inducted into the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame just 3 short years ago. Charles helped shape Ontario racing, and building on the early success of his father Elgin with the family's Armstrong Brothers farm, obviously one of the best in the world, Charles contributed greatly. Charles was also a leading industry executive, both here and in the United States, and we will miss him greatly, and our condolences to his family. Some Beach, Somewhere, the horse of a lifetime. He had a storybook beginning. He came out of training in Truro, Nova Scotia, and he used his unparalleled strength and his flawless gait and his just great imagination to win races repeatedly. He beat the best everywhere, and he had a near-perfect career. Some Beach Somewhere then went on to a sensational career at stud, where we can still appreciate his greatness. So let's take a moment and remember H. Charles Armstrong and Some Beach Somewhere. Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask the new president of the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame, Darrell Kaplan, to please come to the podium. Darrell.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning. The air is still, the sky is dark. On breeding farms, at racetracks and training centers, the dream is quietly taking shape. Far from the crowds of the Queen's Plate or the Gold Cup and Saucer, the Canadian Derby or the Prix d'Été, our beloved horses greet this morning like they greet every day, with curiosity, enthusiasm, and a desire to do wonderful things. Our brilliant broodmares are protecting our precious foals. Our weanlings and yearlings are exploring their surroundings and growing every day. And the horse people, caretakers, drivers, jockeys, trainers, professionals, and countless others are making sure that the great tradition of horse racing lives on. We have struggled through every setback, injury, and difficult moment. We have faced adversity at the barn, on the track, and at boardroom tables. But we have persevered, and we've been privileged to be part of an unmatched glory that many in this world will never truly appreciate. It would be a silly question to ask where we get our inspiration. We in this business have the privilege of witnessing the bravest, purest, and most talented athletes perform on a daily basis. While we may try to teach our horses to race straight and strong, they are the teachers in this relationship. They grow and learn every day, create bonds, overcome their fears, avoid obstacles, and fight on bravely. If we are willing to look into their eyes, listen to their body language, and be open to everything they have to offer, we will learn much more from them than they can ever learn from us. Over the past 251 years, millions have been involved in the pursuit of horse racing across our country. We have fallen asleep and woken up thinking about our horses, as have the men, women, and children of days past. Tonight, we celebrate the 10 newest inductees of the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame and pay tribute to our two legends. Each of these horses and people have accomplished truly remarkable things in the sport of horse racing, and perhaps more importantly, for the sport of horse racing. To them and their families, we offer a sincere and humble congratulations. With our newest additions, there will now be approximately 500 Hall of Famers on the walls of the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame. While it is the millions of horses and people that have built this industry over the past 250 years, it is quite frankly to imagine a horse racing industry without the 500 horses, horse people, builders, and communicators that adorn our walls. They have reached the pinnacle of the sport, gained recognition for this amazing industry, and conditioned us to fight for this wonderful tradition. And it's sure it stays alive and prospers well into the future. The Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame itself, founded in 1976, has an important role to play. We represent the best of this sport across breeds from coast to coast. While we honor the great builders in this industry by telling their story, it is only by being bold and building like they did before us that we can live up to the standard that they have set for us. Over the past 5 decades, the Hall has taken on the important role of preserving the past and honoring the best. But as we move forward, we will aim to bridge the gap between past and present. We will link the history and heritage of days before us with the thrill of racing today. And by exposing new generations to the industry, we need to build for tomorrow. Imagine kids riding Northern Dancer in a virtual Queen's Plate or driving Cam Fella in the Confederation Cup. Imagine going to the Hall of Fame and calling the greatest races of all time, or experiencing the sights and sounds of the starting gate, matching pedigrees to breed a race to a Canadian champion. We have the history, we have the vision, but above and beyond, most importantly, we have the horse. I welcome each and every one of you in the Canadian Hall of Fame community to think about how we can together build the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame and develop a truly special future for the Hall and for horse racing all across this beautiful country. And once again, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame, a hearty congratulations to the inductees tonight and the legends that we honor. Thank you. And I have one more task, which is an honor in itself as well. Before we move on with the evening, throughout our history, the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame has had the good fortune of having several industry leaders serve as the president of our organization. Tonight, we wish to recognize and thank those individuals who have given generously of their time by unveiling a permanent display panel to be installed at the Hall of Fame. On hand with us tonight, I'm honored to invite to the stage to join me in the unveiling our 3 most recent past presidents. I'll call Glenn Secura, who served as Hall president from 2001 to 2005. Ted Smith, who served as Hall president from 2006 to 2009. And John Stapleton, who served as Hall president from 2010 to 2018.
And this display will hang permanently in our Hall of Fame, so we're very much looking forward to that addition. Time to meet some dignitaries and thank our sponsors. The first dignitary we'd like you to meet this evening is a man who is an officer of the Order of Canada, an icon of Canadian broadcasting, and one of the great ambassadors of Canadian horse racing. Would you please welcome Mr. Brian Williams. I know Brian would like to chat with as many of you as he can this evening. He's a great enthusiast, and thanks for being here, Brian, in support of the industry. I'd also like to recognize from Saratoga Springs a recent inductee into the media category of the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, Mr. Michael Veach. And Michael Veach also serves on our election committee here in the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame. Thank you very much for coming from Saratoga Springs this evening. We have several in the audience that have come from Saratoga Springs this evening as well. We'd also like to recognize Mr. Cal Bricker. He is the Senior Vice President of Racing for OLG. And Mr. Bricker, could you be recognized, please? The Hall would like to thank the OLG for its platinum sponsorship of tonight's event. We have some honored members in the group tonight that we want you to meet, and the first one we'd like you to say hello to is Mr. Frank Stronach. I was just talking to Frank just before we started, and it's been actually quite a year for him. He started with an Eclipse Award of Merit in January. He received the Denny Phipps Award for treatment of horses in June, and just recently he joined the Ford brothers in the Automotive Hall of Fame in Detroit. So keep going, Mr. Stronach. I'd like to recognize Ron Waples. Ron, where are you? I don't know who's going to get the bigger applause, you or your wife for those preserves, but it's going to be just about a tie, I think. We have Sandy Hawley with us this evening. Sandy. Always a proud moment for Canadian racing when they introduce the best jockeys in the world at Saratoga, as they did on the weekend. And Sandy Hawley, front and center, representing Canada and looking fitter than all other riders. So that was great. Congratulations, Sandy. We have Bill O'Donnell with us tonight, the Magic Man. Bill. Mr. Lou Cause is with us. Lou. Dr. Ted Clark, nice of him to take his time to be with us this evening, and a great weekend for Dr. Ted Clark in the corner. Blair Burgess is with us this evening as well. I saw Bill Galvin as well. Bill is with us. Bill, an honored member of the Hall. Thank you. Is Larry Attard with us this evening? I didn't happen to see him. So anyway, thank you very much to our honored members, and we'll have a great list to add after tonight's festivities. In thanking our sponsors, we would once again like to thank OLG for their platinum sponsorship. We'd like to thank COSA, that's the Central Ontario Standardbred Association. They are a sponsor for reception and wine this evening. For FMAV, that's our audio and visual sponsor for this evening. The Ontario Standardbred Racetracks, they are the sponsor for our champagne toast. We thank them. Omega Alpha Horse Supplies, we thank them for contributing to our photography events of the evening. The Woodbine Broadcast Department in the back, thank you. And of course, the Stronach family and Adena Springs for their help in the silent and live auctions for this evening. And thank you very much. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We'll do our inductions in three portions tonight, and we'll get started here in just a moment, but I'd like to introduce to you my co-host for this evening, and it's Greg Blanchard, and Greg will be he'll be co-hosting again. and back by popular demand. He did a great job at Grand River on the weekend. And Greg, where would you be? Okay, why don't you come this way and we'll... So Greg will also be helping us with our silent auction, and he'll be in the other room with a camera set up there, and we'll go to him occasionally during the night. And if anybody has any reserve bids on any of these live auction items, Greg is the guy to see because he'll be calling that auction. So before we start with our 2 live auctions, if you see Greg, you know what he looks like now. He's the guy to stop. Thanks very much, Greg. Okay? Just a couple of words before we do our first induction, and that's to our 2 committees, nominating committee, of course, and we thank the chairs of both committees, especially the election committee. The election committee is tasked with bringing us this list of candidates that will be inducted this evening. We thank the chairs, Kathy Wade-Villar and Tommy Cosgrove. Theirs is not an easy task, and they work hard for this event, and we congratulate the chairs of the committees. So we'll move now into the induction proper of our evening, and the first induction is a great Canadian-bred filly who campaigned enthusiastically throughout her distinguished career. Early success in France was followed by a stakes win here before she subsequently went to the highest level where she won twice, including the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. The Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame is proud to induct Judy the Beauty to the monitors.
As a yearling daughter of then unproven sire Ghost Zapper, Judy the Beauty drew limited attention at the 2010 Keeneland sales. Wesley Ward, her owner and trainer throughout her race career, was the final bidder, paying $20,000 for the Adena Springs Ontario-bred filly. A former Eclipse Award-winning apprentice jockey, Ward realized early on the filly was loaded with potential. At 2, she won her maiden debut at Keeneland, Woodbine Shady Well Stakes, and saw success in France, capturing the 1,000-meter Prix Caravel on the turf at Chantilly. At age 4, she established herself as one of the top female sprinters in North America, winning the Grade 2 Thoroughbred Club of America Stakes. Under Ward's tutelage, she earned $1.8 million, won the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint at Santa Anita in 2014.
Judy the Beauty sticks her neck out, goes for the wire. On the outside, Better Lucky's catching. Better Lucky, Judy the Beauty. Judy the Beauty, 1 and ahead in a thriller. Judy the Beauty.
And was presented the Eclipse Award as champion female sprinter that same year. Her stakes victories also included the Grade 3 Rancho Bernardo, Grade 1 Madison, and the Grade 3 Las Flores. In 22 starts, she won 9 times and was in the money in 20 of those starts. Basically ignored as a yearling, Judy the Beauty turned out to be more than just a beauty.
So accepting is Judy the Beauty's owner and trainer, Wesley Ward, and making the presentation is Judy the Beauty's breeder, Mr. Frank Stronach.
I was pretty lucky to sell Judy the Beauty to a great trainer for $20,000. And no, seriously, I rather would sell 50 yearlings for $20,000 each get $1 million than to sell one yearling for $1 million, and it's a bum. So anyway, he's a great trainer, and in order that the horse gets nominated as a champion, there's a lot of work goes into it, and it takes a good trainer to get it there. So thank you, Leslie, and I'll hope to buy a few more Judy the Beauties.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scott. Well, it was a great ride, and from start to finish, and I was extremely lucky, but extremely fortunate. But it's amazing how one horse can change your life. I come from very humble beginnings, and to buy a horse for $20,000 that can, essentially get you into millions is unbelievable, and that's what everybody's in this game for, is to get a chance of a lifetime and get an opportunity to not only monetarily get there, but also to get on the biggest stage and compete with the biggest horsemen in the biggest races. And she's named after, I really had a good feeling when I started breaking her, and she's named after a very special friend, my mother's best friend that eventually died of cancer, and she was a really pure heart. So I think that maybe from up above I had a little something special helping us out for this whole run. But I'm very honored and thankful for everyone that was involved from this filly from start to finish. She had a lot of tough days, and it's one of those horses that, she gives you 110% every time she runs, and just when you think she's beat, she puts her head down and she pulls through. So it's hopefully that she goes on to be a good broodmare. But if she doesn't, she's done everything that for me that over exceeded everything. So it's been a great run, and I'm sorry that I got her for $20,000 from the boss here, but
That's the good part.
thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me to be part of this once again this year, and congratulations to all of the inductees, and a big thrill to see all of the existing Hall of Famers in attendance tonight as well. Our next inductee, born in Clinton, Ontario, had a tremendous impact on the standardbred industry through his Meridian Farms breeding operations in Alberta and Prince Edward Island, and through his generous personal support of the industry. The Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame, proud to induct Bill Andrew.
Calgary resident Bill Andrew has been involved in harness racing since purchasing his first yearling in 1990. In 2003, his Meridian Farms in Alberta and PEI began focusing on breeding, making a tremendous impact on the Canadian standardbred industry. Petroleum industry engineer and past CEO of oil and gas companies, Andrew understands the need for public support in business and has worked hard to cultivate new fans and participants for the sport of racing. Andrew has given much back to the racing industry he loves through charitable projects and financial contributions, including the Atlantic Sire Stakes trotting events, Truro Raceway, and the Nova Scotia Provincial Exhibition Select Yearling Sale. The Fun for Fans Stables and the Hurrah for Charity Stable contributed earnings from his horses in the stable benefiting charity partners. Proceeds from the sale of yearlings have been donated to community projects, and support for the PEI's Matinee Racetrack Development Project allows children to learn horsemanship skills so they can possibly make the transition to larger tracks and eventual full-time employment in racing. In 2015, Bill Andrew was awarded Standardbred Canada's coveted Cam Fella Award for meritorious service to the Canadian standardbred industry.
Fred Gillis, Executive Director of the Alberta Standardbred Association, will make the presentation to Bill.
need my glasses. I'm getting old, so. I'll start. It's not going to be long. I promise. I don't speak very long. General George Patton once said, don't measure a man's success by how high he climbs, but how much he bounces when it hits bottom. Over the past dozen years, we've worked to bring back fans and gain new fans for the greatest sport on earth and the greatest animals on earth, and to involve our communities in the effort. I'd like to thank my very patient and understanding wife, Denise, my brother Brian and his family in PEI, the people that really run Meridian Farms, Terry McIsaac and his family, Ronnie Gass, his family, and the rest of the staff at Meridian. I've learned in life that you can have all the cream and sugar and salt and ice in the world, but you'll never make ice cream without lots of help with the churning. So I'd like to thank, in particular, Fred Gillis and Colleen Haining with ASHA. Without their support, we'd never be here. The PEI Harness Racing Industry Association, Century Entertainment, Red Shores, Robin Crow and Truro Raceway, and the Cape Breton Horsemen. I must express special thanks to Shirley McClellan and the late Premier Ralph Klein. Without their support, there would be no bounce, just a thud. Thank you.
Those of you, some of you here know I'm from Prince Edward Island myself, so it's always great to see a fellow Islander making his mark in horse racing in Canada. Congratulations, and very well deserved. Our next inductee enjoyed a superlative career which featured remarkable durability with repeated success in record times and career earnings of over $2 million. The Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame proud to induct Chancey Lady.
Kamluk daughter Chancey Lady raced from 2007 to 2013. Starting in 143, she won 43, finished second in 22 races, and posted 15 thirds, earning over $2 million and had a mark of 148.4, taken at age 5 on Harrow's Chester track. The small but mighty $60,000 yearling purchase, selected by Casey Coleman for the late Niel Jawan of Surrey, BC, was trained by Coleman during her 2007 campaign and until just after her Fan Hanover victory in June 2008. The 3-year-old filly was then moved to John Pentland's stable, winning the first 2 starts for her new conditioner, including an Ontario Sire Stakes Gold Final. At age 4, she won 2 divisions of the Blue Chip Stake at Yonkers and a division and final of the Cape and Cutter at the Meadowlands. 2011 brought 5 victories, including a division of the Blue Chip and Milton Stakes elimination, as well as shattering the track record for fillies and mares at Pocono Downs with a 149-2 victory in the open pace.
Chancey Lady still strong here for Tetrick, and Chancey Lady coasting home to win by 3.5.
In 2012, she won